Hey, Scott with Work Happier, and today I'm going to look at workplace conflict with your supervisor managing up and essentially how to assess that and start moving through it. Uh, it's a complicated and difficult situation, no doubt about it. I came across a Reddit thread recently that kind of prompted me into this. It was a really interesting look at it. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Um, Okay, OP frames it like this. Original post. The person talking about this is the general manager of a store and needed their boss, presumably like a regional or some kind of a regional director or something like that, needed to have that person cover their store for 2 days. So their boss has to cover their store. When they get back after their 2 days, the store is a bit of a bombshell. The new hire who had virtual training in certain tasks didn't complete any of them. Orders not put away. There's kind of stuff everywhere. The bank run hasn't been completed. There's just kind of a list of things that haven't been done. And of course, our manager who returns to work is frustrated. And honestly, like the way that it's written, and you can see in the comments and just common sense that most people kind of jump right to, your boss sucks, he's lazy, you're being taken advantage of, all these other, kind of the standard things that are said. Well, that's not where my brain goes, because I want to figure out what's actually going on so we can solve the problem. You've got to understand the operational structure before you can start telling people what their intent or at least, concluding what the intent was, and then how to move through that result. And so you need to ask some questions, right? And I did. I asked some questions. Things like, who was working in the situation? Is it just the manager? Are there other people involved? What responsibilities were supposed to go to everybody? Who's supposed to be doing these things? What tasks require the manager to do it, right? For example, it sounds to me most likely in the original post is that, like the bank drop would have to be done typically in most places by a manager, right? So that would require the manager to do the work. What was delegated out ahead of time? What was asked to be done? And then also just as importantly, what kind of what expectations exist when it comes to standard operating procedure? What does your staff know that they're supposed to be doing regularly, right? Because a lot of the time, and in this situation and in many of these situations I run into, the challenge and the problem is framed from an emotional and a frustration standpoint. There's a lot of perception going on there, right? Before they understand exactly what is something that can be looked at from a kind of an operational standpoint, I guess. And once that is clear, things become a little bit easier, right? And even looking at it, you've kind of got these two extremes to start with, right? And you're trying to find what's going on with these two extremes. One is where most people jump to, which is this is neglect, or you're disrespectful, or it's bad managing, bad boss, right? Or the other extreme is this is intentional, that your boss or manager has come into the situation and is thinking, I don't have to do it. Like, I shouldn't have to do anything. It's 2 days. Your staff should know what they're supposed to be doing and when, and the store should run smoothly for a couple of days without heavy oversight. And if it requires micromanaging and oversight consistently from me or from you, then maybe there are some teachable moments. There's some there's some professional development that could happen. And like I said, those are two extremes. I don't know what's going on. It's almost always somewhere in the middle. And to be clear, like, I'm not defending the manager, the boss here. I'm not defending this person up top here. I'm just saying, when you come with these kinds of assumptions and questions, and this is why we're asking the question, because we don't know. OP's asking because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to navigate this. What am I supposed to do to talk to my boss? How do I do it? And you have to kind of pressure test everything that's going on here. And in this case, like I said, I asked these questions, and OP gave me the answers. So if we believe what's been said, and I don't have any reason not to, we have this new information and this critical new context living within that information, right? Like the only people involved here are the manager, the boss, right, and the new hire. So there's only 2 people on staff in this. It must be a pretty small store. And then there was a direct note left asking to do the training and to make sure that the new hire completed their virtual training and understood what they were supposed to be doing. There were a variety of manager-specific tasks that just need to be done by the manager. There's massive oversight missing. And then we also find out, we know that there is a camera on the boss while he's working, and OP has looked at that camera and seen that manager guy, boss man, was sitting on his phone in the office pretty much the entire time. And so that of course changes things. That gives us something to look at and really go, okay, wait a minute. What? Because the information changed, right? We can make an actual conclusion, and we can work with that, right? And because in this situation, let's just go with this situation. A good analysis of this and a good way to investigate it is not defending authority right away, right? It's not validating emotions either, and it's not picking a side, right? We talked about those 2 sides. It's not taking one or the other. It's trying to find where it lives within that scale, and that requires, right? Like I just said, right? You've got to identify reality, and then you can kind of look at what the responsibilities might be, and moving from just like a kind of confused frustration to something we can actually really point to. And that thing to point to in this spot would be forgetting all the other stuff. Not that it doesn't matter or come into play, but from a conversational standpoint, from a managing up, from a moving forward standpoint, even if we were to assume or give credit to the guy that the boss's time spent on the phone and the computer in the office was all related to the regional management work. Okay, maybe that's possible. But we can still find one thing that is totally undeniable. And that is, I left a direct note with a new hire training specifics about how to go about this and what's important and why, and that was not done. And so, like I said, that is totally concrete. You can observe what happened. That it is an inescapable reality. Like, what are they going to say? What's your boss going to say? So then it just becomes, how do you deal with it, right? Because now, like I said, you focus on that, the specificity of that. And you don't want to come with these big emotional narratives. I feel you this, you that. You don't want resentment. You don't want stacking of perceptions and assumptions and blame and all these things. So, because to be clear, OP was correct in the initial statement, right? And the manager did a poor job covering. Like, that's the reality. And so the problem with the initial approach was not that. It was that approach was rooted in ambiguity. There was emotion and assumption involved. And so while OP was right, the way to build the approach lies in the investigation of the situation. And once you have that, you can have this, you can create an effective line of communication. And it would sound something like this. Hey man, I have to understand what happened with my new hire training while you took over. I left a note asking for X to do Y, and it didn't happen. That was the one thing I really needed to be done. And like, what happened there, right? And it matters because it opens dialogue instead of creating like a defensiveness or a conflict. What you don't want to do, you don't want to accuse. You don't want to say, I watched the cameras and I saw you sat in the office all day. You don't throw all the frustrations at once. And you don't come with like a holier than thou kind of attitude, right? You start with what happened, why it failed, why it's important to you. You just throw that in there, and then give them an opportunity to tell you what's going on, to explain, to start the conversation, because you have to kind of show him where the problem lied. right? There's no escaping it, as we talked about, because most workplace conflicts are really difficult, sometimes even impossible to solve, because we're starting with the conclusion instead of what actually happened, the structure of what's going on. And again, to be clear, that does not mean your conclusions are wrong. In this case, they were right. It just means that your solutions are rarely solving the right problem without an investigation of reality. And this ends how we assess and move forward through workplace conflict and managing up, especially when that conflict is with your supervisor, your boss. If you have any questions, comments, you want to work with me, my information is in the video description. Give me subscribe for more videos like this, and do not forget, through all of these videos, through everything that I talk about, through all the lessons and things like that, it's all about the people. Have a good one, folks. Thank you.